what we like to do is we like to have fun with pictures. All right. So I was asked to edit this picture, and first thing I'm going to do is find a crop that I think will work. All right. So I think, we want to crop it in and use those trees as a frame, possibly. And if we crop a little bigger later on, we can crop it a little smaller. Keep some information in there and crop it later. But I want to give her some height since she is jumping. I want to retain some of the blurriness in the foreground. I think we'll just give it a crop like that for now and start working on it. Next thing I want to do is I'll go ahead and hit auto. Woohoo! All right, it brightened it up, gave it a little more contrast. I'm going to bring these highlights way down. Probably give the shadows a little bit up. And not worry so much about the subject. Just looking at the background, really. Maybe add a little bit of black just to there. All right, so just real simply, just brighten it up a little bit. I think the background is a little too bright, so I'm just gonna bring down both the exposure and the contrast to 0 for now. All right, then I'm going to use the gradient tool here, and I'm going to bump her up in yellow by 20 and exposure about half a stop. Actually, I'm going to bump her all the way up to a stop. So I can do that by clicking there and hitting one stop higher. That should be all for now. Let's give this a shot. And I'm just going to draw this circle all the way around her. And then I'm going to hit the brush here and hit erase and go to auto mask, make the flow 100%, leave that at about 50%, make the brush bigger here. And since we're auto masked, and I'll hit the O key and bring out the mask color. We'll get a little closer in. I'll start erasing. See, you can get pretty close into her, get right up next to her, and it will mask fairly well, as long as you don't really overlap her. And the auto mask is working really well. So I'm doing this to make the brush a little bigger, speed things up. Oops, that was a little silly. Easy enough to fix that. We'll just put that back on her shoe. And actually we'll brighten up her whole shoe instead of leaving it dark. So back to erasing. Just erase around her. You should be able to get in there and erase this pretty quickly. Alright, so basically got her outlined. Now we just turn this auto mask off, zoom out a little bit, and make the brush the right size, and just erase any red out here. Make sure you stay away from her, because we don't want this any brighter. And pretty close to be done. I choose the brush size with the bracket keys. I just reach over and tap it a couple times to make it smaller, tap it a couple times to make it bigger. And there we have it. I think that's a pretty good mask. This is a really bright spot, and over here is really bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this erase mask, I'm going to bring the flow down a little bit. And then I'm going to erase without the thing. I'm just going to erase right here a little bit. It doesn't erase all of it, only about half of it, and it just keeps it from being too bright. In here also, we need to erase, just zoom back in. And see, I erased this accidentally. Just put that back in there. Alright. And then erase in here with the mask on, so I can just get right up next to her skin and it won't mask her skin there. There you go. This is take this back off. We'll get a little bit of these spots out here. No need for them to be bright. See this little deal here. I hit Alt and it changes the eraser. Just by hitting the Alt key, I go back and forth. So I'll just choose this. Right, and I will paint in this right here. No need to have her elbow not being bright. And then hold the Alt key and paint back out here. Something like that. Alright, So there you have her masked off. Hit the O, and you can see what we did as far as with the brightness and contrast. We can hit H, and that'll get rid of that. We'll zoom in a little bit and see where we are. All right, do you like the color? So, you know, this will take care of in Photoshop. It'll be a lot easier to handle there. Take the highlights up, and you see how much brighter it is. Just wanted to add a little bit back. And then the shadows, take the shadows up a little bit. So let's bring that up a little bit. I like that. Get her hair, I actually liked it up a little higher with her hair coming back in. Just a little more yellow. And then I give her a little bit more contrast too. Just a little bit. There you go. So that's what you got to do. You kind of just adjust these settings to see what you like. And I'm only affecting her because we did a mask. You can see the mask. And so there you have it. That's one thing that was kind of big, is just make sure you have plenty of light on the subject. And then the background can be a little darker, or if you like the background to have a little blown out, you can set the background and the subject differently. I like it this way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into Photoshop. So from right here, I'm going to just press Control E. That's the way I get into Photoshop. It's where the fun begins. All right, right off the bat in Photoshop. Choose the patch tool, and not the patch tool. I'm sorry, yeah. Select this and just move this over like this. Don't like that at all. So what I'm going to do instead is hit Shift Delete. In Windows, it would be Shift Backspace. Brings up this thing. You choose Content Aware, normal, 100, and boom, and it will guess what should be there instead of what was there before. And you can use the lasso tool for this. You don't need the patch tool. I'm not using it like that. And so then you just choose that, and you hit Shift Delete and hit Enter. And it thinks, well, that looks pretty awesome, doesn't it? It just guessed what should be there, and away it went. Just select all of this time, and then hit Shift Delete. You see how it didn't do a great job right here? Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, not really impressed with what's going on there. So what we can do is just grab this and try this. Give it a second chance. That's probably a little better. I'm going to do the same thing here. This should be fun. No. So what we're going to do is instead use the clone stamp tool. I pressed S for the clone stamp tool, make my brush a little bigger. I'm going to start right here, press Alt, and grab this spot right here, and Control D will get rid of the selection there, and then just go like this. Just erase it. It's going to make a matching pattern to what was down there below, which is okay. We can change that pattern a little bit just by doing that. And then up here, same thing. I'll just press like this, Alt, Delete, Alt right there, and just paint across the top. Nobody's going to see or know what that is or anything, as long as it looks fairly natural. I'm going to grab this and just make it go all the way up like that. See? Like that. Just get rid of that because I don't like it. See, spot right here. Grab from there, put it there. Like it. A little speck right here. You can use J. This is the healing brush, and when set like this with a spot healing brush, it'll automatically fix spots pretty easily. Just tap, and it'll fix it because it guesses, like the content aware fill. It guesses what you want there. Sometimes it doesn't guess well, and that's when we would choose the clone stamp, which is S, or choose the healing brush, which I'll show you the healing brush right now. Shift J changes, choose this spot here, and just get rid of that spot of bokeh if you don't like it. I didn't like it, so there we go. There's a spot right here, a little dust. Boom. J is really good. The healing brush, because you get to choose where it's going to heal from and where it's going to heal to, instead of just getting to choose where the spot is going to fix. You get to choose where it's going to fix from. See, I can choose this, and it's going to put a dark green spot there. I don't really, necessarily have to choose this right here. And you notice the texture back here is all basically kind of blurry noise. So I could choose a light spot here, and then erase that with that. And it's not going to make it really light because it's really just transferring the texture. It's very, very cool. All right, so I'll just grab from here and just erase that. Interesting, huh? And I'm using the... So, just got rid of some little distractions. I don't know what you had here, but I don't really like it. And so I'm going to just grab right from here. Now the clone stamp tool clones the exact image, whatever's here, and I'll put it right over here. So it'll be the exact thing. And I'll fix that up in a second, because what I'm doing right here is I'm just kind of cloning the colors and the texture. And now I'll go back over here and just with the J, and I'll clone again, and we'll get some of the more blended look. You know, want it to look natural. Want it to look right. No point in doing it if it doesn't look natural. All right. I'm thinking I'm gonna do some micro adjustments here. Just get rid of this. Really? There we go. I didn't like that. You know, I'm not really fond of these darker things here. I'll get rid of, just grab from over here, get rid of this, and some of this. Alright. We can play with that for hours, but I think that's, anyway, a little duplicate deal here. Anytime you see a repeating pattern, it's good to just go ahead and take care of it. Alright. So, nobody's going to see that. But it's whatever was there is not there anymore. This pattern right here is a little distracting to me, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. All right, you notice that there's a shadow there. We want to maintain the integrity of that shadow. Let's zoom in a little bit. And use the clone stamp tool and start here and just return that shadow a bit. That looks pretty good. Alright, let's get rid of this spot right here using the clone stamp tool. Why do it? Well, because I want to. I'll choose from that spot and then just work this. And now J, I'll do the same thing. I'll choose this spot here and start from there. And that should blend real nice. And I don't like that spot there, so there. And you may like it, I don't. I'm going to get rid of this. Gone. Alright, I'm liking it. Okay, so now we're going to do some detail work on the subject. On this cute little girl. Alright. First of all, we see some cleanup work on her arm that needs done. Just a little bit on her face. And a little bit on this arm. Don't know why that's still there. But let's do that right now. J. And we'll just blend this in. So that she doesn't have that anymore. And choose this spot here and go for the blend. Now we can just blend right down that line and smooth that out. Alright, so let's do the same thing over here. We'll grab from here, and it should only be transferring the texture, which will be the darker spots. The color should basically stay what it is. It'll just blend in the texture. I don't know if anybody can really see this in the final picture. Sometimes you get a little carried away and you're fixing stuff that doesn't need fixed. Now with the clone stamp tool, the S clone stamp tool, you can grab this and you can get really close to the edge if you want and change the color there, which you don't really want. You really want it to blend. But the healing brush, when you get close to an edge, see, I can blend with the healing brush like that. I like that. But if you get close to the edge with the healing brush, it tries to blend the colors of the edge, which is not what you want. You don't want to blend those colors in. I'm hitting Control Z actually Control-Alt-Z, and I like that. And I will just, don't get over the edge. That's right, I'll show you again. You don't want to be over the edge like that. You can't get too close to the edge even, that's the point. See, it's pulling color from the side because I'm really close to the edge. You don't want that. But you can do that with the clone stamp. Just grab a color that matches the color you want, or grab a spot right there, and you can get really close without blending. So that's a really important difference between the clone stamp and the healing brush. But I didn't really want to do that, so I'll leave that like that. Okay, in here, same thing. Just grab this kind of a darker spot right there with the J, which is the healing brush, and we'll do some blending. That's a pretty different color, so I'm going to hit S. I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to get this lighter color right here. And I'm not going to get that close to the edge this time. I'm just going to get rid of some of this. Okay, and then J, and choose this out here, and just see if we can. Okay, that looks more like a shadow than. I'm going to go ahead and do something a little crazy here. I'm going to add the S key, get this the clone stamp tool, and I'm just going to get rid of this. Just going to get rid of this bracelet altogether. I think it's a bracelet and not just hair, but and then we're going to just going to clean this up. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to, even though I'm using a Wacom tablet, my skills are limited sometimes. There. Just clean that up a little. And then I'm going to go back to spot healing brush. Stay right here. I'll smooth this out. I want to look like a shadow, not dirt. Go with the clone stamp tool, get it a little closer. Then go back to the healing brush and try to blend that in a little bit. Alright. Blend this, blend that. Just get a little close to that light spot there. And there's a little bit of something here. And there's another thing we can do, which I'll show you in a minute, called frequency separation. Didn't know if I was really going to get into that with just a little girl, but it's really great for skin retouching. Yeah, if a little bit of that light passes onto her hand, that'll be fine. Okay, I think that's going to be enough. Now, interestingly enough, what we could have done was grab some texture from over here, because it's mostly noise. Getting texture from her forehead to fix her arm. Yep. Because her forehead, oops. Forehead had a pretty smooth skin there. Alright. I don't like this spot right here. I am using the healing brush, so I'm just going to smooth. Yeah, that was silly. Alright. Smooth that in a little bit. I think that was from the mask in Lightroom. Let's get rid of this. I think that'll look better. Yeah. Stuff here we'll fix. Alright, let's zoom in just a little bit here. Just spot right here. Right there. Pretty little girl. Just a couple of spots here. Yeah, I don't like what happened there. Yeah, not enough detail really. Okay, so I'm going to make a curves adjustment layer here, and I'm going to just raise this up. I like to bring up the highlights blacks, and then bring up everything. Just looking at her eyes. All right, there's really not a lot of detail there. So then I'm going to invert this by pressing Command I. Command I inverts any picture, but black makes white to black. And then I'm going to paint on the layer mask with white right inside her eye, but only, you see there's not a lot of detail. We're down to the pixel level here. Painting in her eye, just in the iris part, because, yeah, there's not a lot of detail. All right. All right, you think, you made her eyes red. That doesn't look good. Well, simple way to do that would be to go here and just bring down the reds. You know, you could do that. Just trying to get some highlights in her eyes. And let's see, before and after on that. You see, just a bit of a brightening there of the irises and the catch light, they call it. Alright, so let's go ahead and try frequency separation. Alright, this action requires you to have Control-Alt, a stamp version. So, going back to the action, frequency separation. Alright, that's way too much blur. What you're trying to do with the blur is just get the details to blur a little bit. And about 2 or so. And hit OK. Alright, frequency separation. Now we're going to zoom in here. And I'm going to hit Control J and make another one. So I have the other one there. And what we're going to do here is I'm just going to select this. Not with the brush, but with J. And I'm going to paint, and what that's going to do is use the low frequency layer to smooth out some tonal differences without changing the texture. But we're only affecting the blurry layer here. That's what we're doing. We're trying to smooth out the colors and the things on the blurry layer. And then when you put the other layer on it, you can see it's smoothed out. Do this, I don't like, with a high frequency layer you do have to put current layer only. And I'm just going to paint away that. I like it. Alright, just for fun, get rid of some of that and smooth that out. Like that, we got to do some low layer stuff over here. And so frequency separation is going to allow us to smooth out colors and without the texture. So some of this would be texture, you know, it would be on the texture layer. Oh, and some of it, I hit Control Z to fix that. Some of it was going to be down here on this layer. So, like, go back to the high frequency layer, because this isn't on the low frequency layer, it's on the high frequency layer. It's a texture. Some things are textures and some things are color and just tones. And really the frequency means, you know, like how big something is. Textures would be small variations, and colors and tones are big variations. So that's what I do in Photoshop. So I'll just hit File, Save, minimize that. This was before Photoshop, and this is after Photoshop. And we'll just go back and forth here. Lots of little things. Just looking to see if I like what I did. And I think it turned out really good. Alright, well that's the simple version of processing an image. It's looking nice and smooth, not without too much smoothing. I get a little catch light in the eyes, clean up the image. Let's do a crop on this again. We'll just crop it a little tighter, not too much, because she's jumping, and we want to have her. I think we kind of want her in the middle. How about we give her a little room to jump that direction, and then we'll just take the trees out of there. Not really liking that. I like that better. Okay, now some people would put a little gradient on this, darken this up a little bit, and then just add a little bit of dehaze. Bring down give her a bit of a, give her a lot. Nah, not too much. Just a little bit of a vignette. And that's all I'm going to do. We could definitely do some color changes on it, but I think that looks pretty natural. Some of the other things we could do is we could cause even more blur in the background with a tilt shift filter, which would keep the foreground not blurred in focus, and then just blur the background. But I like the way your lens did this. Looks pretty good. So let's look one more time at before, and that's the after. Before and after.